Welcome to the You Go First podcast. This is the place where we bring together thought leaders, business pioneers, personal development gurus, and just about any person we discover that will inspire and compel you to go first in all areas of your life. Please welcome keynote speaker, philanthropist, and the official head dream chaser for Odyssey Teams, Inc., our host, Lain Hensley.
Hi everyone, it's Lain with You Go First, and this is a part of what we call our CEO series. If this is the first episode you've caught, I sit down with CEOs that I've developed relationships over the last 30 years with, working with their teams, working with their senior leadership group, their sales groups, and everyone from new hires to the very top spot. So I'm thankful to be able to sit down with Harold and have a conversation about how he grew the business. They're a foam manufacturing business. They make beds and the insulation in your car, maybe the Beats headphones foam that you're listening to right now. So they're manufacturing, their sales, their distribution. They have covered the gamut as far as an industry goes, and they are thriving. So with Harold's leadership, they've doubled. They're in the $1.5 billion range. But he's a great guy. He has a lot of great insights in leadership and visioning and how to push teams to achieve results, and at the same time, give back to community and develop a great culture as an organization. So with that, I want to kick it over to Harold. Hope you enjoy the episode and look forward to future episodes in the CEO series. You go first, Harold.
You go first, Lain.
All right, I will go first. Welcome everyone to another installment of You Go First. This is part of our CEO series. I am overjoyed to be talking to a good friend of now 13 or 14 years. And part of the head dream chaser nation out there, Harold Earley. He is the CEO. He has also been with the organization since 2009. I'll talk more about how he has grown this amazing business and some details about his organization, which is FXI. They are a comfort solutions organization. I know they make foam that I'm sure everybody listening uses, whether they're sleeping on it or it's the foam in your car, or maybe you got some Beats headphones on. It's the foam that's in your ear. Harold is impacting your life. And he is just an amazing guy. He's allowed me to work with his senior leadership team since he took over. And even before he took over as CEO, I was a part of helping FXI grow. And with that, a huge welcome. Harold Earley, thank you. Welcome to the You Go First studio. How are you?
Great. Thanks, Lain. I really appreciate you having me. Looking forward to the discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a wild time for CEOs out there. We got tariffs and we got remote work that happened. I don't think you can manufacture foam remotely, so I'm sure a lot of your people were working right on through COVID and all of that. And I know if I look back, I know you went to Drexel University, you worked for some other companies before you came. You've got somewhere in the neighborhood between, we were laughing about this, 30 to 35. I don't know how we got that old, years of experience. Yes. I think you're a finance guy originally, right? And so
actually an accounting major. So came right out of school and joined in a big accounting firm.
Is there no conflict between finance and accounting, right? That's not. Do they not like each other or anything?
I think there's a little bit of tension between the groups, and I think some people aspire to get not just be an accountant, to be a business person and maybe aspiring to finance. Whereas I don't think finance people aspire to be accountants.
Okay, good. That's actually, I can vouch for that. A buddy of mine's son is in accounting and he's trying to get into finance. So if you've got a spot, I'll introduce you. But hey, give us this, before we dive into like FXI and kind of your vision and mission as an organization, culturally, the values of FXI and all that, give us a quick snapshot. How do we go from Harold, an accounting major at Drexel, to running, FXI for, wow, how many years now? Almost 8-9 years, and doubling the growth of this business. So give us a snapshot of your career path. How'd you get here?
Sure. Graduated from Drexel as an accounting major. Started with the big, now it's a big 4 accounting firm. At the time was one of the big 8 accounting firms, so big international accounting firm. Spent a whole bunch of years in my formative career in the audit side of the business. I think it was an amazing foundation for me. I was always a very inquisitive person. I always found auditing really, really interesting work. I got to go to a lot of different businesses, learn about different businesses, ask a million questions, trying to understand how they ran their business, what made sense. So for me, from a foundation perspective, I found that career to be, exceptional. I spent about 12 years doing that, eventually left to join a client to help them go public. It was an amazing experience. It was a global business in the semiconductor space.
Can you
So
tell
had
us
some,
who was
it
that?
was called Amcor Technology.
Oh, okay,
A-
okay.
And today, they're still a leading provider of semiconductor assembly services, a great business. I had a great experience there. Worked for a great leader who really encouraged me to grow. And there I actually became the SVP of finance. So I went from
Nice.
controller to finance and did a lot of work in obviously helping the company go public, doing all types of M&A work, dealing with financing, the business and things of that nature. So got just a really amazing, well-rounded experience of global finance and worked for, again, the CFO there was a fantastic leader that I worked with that groomed me. And then I was able to leave there after about 5 or 6 years and become a CFO myself. And that was really my first foray into private equity. So I left a public company, joined a privately owned or private equity owned business as a CFO. Was there for about 6 years, went to another company. We sold that business, went to another company as the CFO, sold that business after a couple of years. And then that's when I landed in 2009 as the CFO of FXI. And that was quite a journey. When I started, we went through a bankruptcy process back then.
Wow.
I joined when the company was really struggling. We restructured the business, took that company, which was public, into a private equity owned business in 2009. And really from there, it's been just an amazing experience. Taking a business that really needed to be restructured, that had some challenges with the demand. Think about the financial crisis at the time. So a lot of the demand for our products had really, deteriorated. We had to restructure the business, the footprint of the business, and then set it up for growth. And really, the trajectory since then has been fantastic. We've done some acquisitions since then, and really taken the business, I think, in a completely new direction over the last 8 years. It's been a fantastic run. The people here are amazing, and I've had a great time. And so the progress from FXI as a CFO, then around 2016, they actually made me the head of operations. So I was the COO and CFO for a couple of years, and then promoted into the CEO role where I am today.
Awesome. And I think you're CEO and operations right now as well. Is that correct?
We had our head
Like
of
to be busy.
operations a couple years ago resigned, and we chose not to fill the role. So yes, I am overseeing all of operations at this time as well.
Yeah, well, I appreciate having the time with you because I know you're so busy. Not only busy, growing the business, running the business operations, but I know you also have a real desire not just to be sort of up here, I'm the CEO, but you're in the trenches with your team, you sharing, solving the problems with them. Even though you weren't a manufacturing person, you connect the right people to, solve the problems and growing the business. And of course, in acquisition time, and I'm sure also in private equity, you're sitting in front of the board trying to paint a picture that I tell the truth, but point toward hope sort of thing. When we look back at, if we're flashing back to Harold, being mentored and groomed by these different leaders that you were exposed to, just in a sentence or even just what are some of the key lessons you took from those relationships that serve you now in the role you're in?
I'd say one is hiring great people. I always say to people, great people make you great. And I think I work for some people who they had that premise. You could see the teams that they built, the understanding of really having great people around you, developing your talent, making sure that you really have built strong succession. I mentioned the individual who, really gave me a tremendous amount of rope and leeway and experience that a lot of other people wouldn't have done. So I was fortunate there. I think obviously having a broad base of experience and knowledge was also really important. In one of those roles there, I got to work for an outstanding sales and marketing leader, the CEO, and that was his background, sales and marketing. And I learned just a tremendous amount from him about that because I had never done that. I'd spent time obviously in accounting and finance, spent time in operation, but had never really been exposed to sales and marketing. So those couple of years working with him and getting to kind of pick his brain about what great sales leaders look like was really valuable to me.
Yeah. For our listeners out there, they're like, FXI, what's FXI? Like, what are you even talking about? It is tiny little business. And you're always so nice when you introduce me, like, oh, Lain works with big companies and he also works with Little Old Us. I mean, Little Old Us was, 500 to 800 million originally. You've taken it over the 1.5 billion mark and, through acquisition and then as well as, through some pretty turbulent times. You are in the chemicals business at times, buying internationally to produce foam. You're shipping internationally. You're developing, obviously a whole breadth of products. Let's get into how you've grown this business. What are some of the challenges that you've had to take on to grow a healthy culture as well as a healthy business that's in growth mode?
Sure. I'd say from a product perspective, as we always joke around, we consider ourselves one of the largest provider of comfort solutions. And so at the end of the day, we do make a lot of foam and we make a lot of products with foam. We sell a lot of foam that goes into products that everybody, listening and watching this podcast probably gets exposed to almost every single day, whether it's the mattress you sleep on, the chairs you're sitting in, the car you're driving in, and all those types of things. And so we have a business where we provide a lot of that. I'd say historically, when I first joined FXI, all we did was sell component solutions to big OEMs and all the brands that you would name. If you went in any furniture, bedding store, automotive dealership, things like that, we were selling to those individuals. We also saw an opportunity to, as the market shifted and changed, we saw an opportunity to get into making the products ourselves into slightly different categories. So not just selling components and not necessarily competing with our customers, but selling other end products, mattresses, pillows, toppers, soft furniture, and things of that nature. And that really steering the ship and creating a new growth trajectory for the business has really been the challenge over the last couple of years. So we're, instead of just being fundamentally focused on components, really now creating finished products as well and driving those through retail channels and things like that. So completely different aspect of the business and really kind of having to transform the organization's mindset from being a B2B company to also being a B2C company and being on that journey. And that's really been a really, really interesting process and challenge for us, all in the headwinds of what I would say ever since COVID ended, challenging demand patterns for our business.
I like that, challenging demand patterns. That's well said. And interesting. And when you say like some of it is like these foam, little couches that kids they can also build forts out of and all of that stuff. And like you said, if anybody's listening, driving down the road, they probably, because I think you're like 80 or 90% of the car companies use your foam, don't they, in their vehicles?
We have a pretty sizable share. Absolutely. Our foam goes into a lot of the seating products, the instrument panels, door panels, headliners, things of that nature. So yes, we have a significant market share there. So if you're driving, especially any car made in the US, we have a high probability of being in your car.
Harold's got you surrounded. All right. Well, thank you for the comfort solutions. And I know, I mean, we've become friends. I've watched you really push. And you mentioned mindset. And, I think that's one of the things I see you champion the most is what is our mindset right now? And how do we, develop our leadership skills to align with a mindset of, yes, it's challenging, but we can do it. We're not just providing this, behind the scenes foam. We are now in the boxed bedding business. And I know Costco and Target, I think other huge brands, you have a huge part of their, what is it called? Aisle space or something? I don't know.
Share the aisle.
Share the aisle. Yep. So, give us how do you address mindset? How do you lead that? Have you been any keys for up and coming CEOs that are struggling with like mindset? I'm sure it's forever a kind of challenge, but any wins that you can report?
Listen, I think the biggest thing for us is really understanding this concept of if they call it in the military, they call it VUCA. Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And we have that mindset coming to work that, there used to be certain things that created that. And now you realize it's every day. Every day is a VUCA environment, as we would say. And that comes through our training, our leadership training that we do in a program that we follow. And this VUCA mindset, understanding that every day you wake up, something could happen, right? And we all joke around about it. But a tweet today can completely change your business model, as we saw with tariffs last year, right? Boom, you wake up, tariffs. Okay, got to completely change the supply chain, moved to all these different countries. And then you get another tweet and things change and things like that. So just being able to be nimble and to be thinking about it all the time, like whatever you're working on, understand that it could change at any moment. And do you have plans already in place for when that happens? So what we do a lot is kind of, game planning on, okay, things are good now. What could go wrong? What could go right? Sometimes it's, wow, if we landed this business that we're chasing, where are we going to make the product? Do we have the capacity? Are we already planning that out? So we're trying to stay a couple steps ahead of the uncertainty and plan for it's going to happen. What are we going to do when it does happen? Not waiting until it does happen. And so I think that being nimble mindset is something we talk about as an organization all the time.
Yeah, and I appreciate, I've been a part of helping bring some of those methodologies that you obviously invest a lot into your people, not only in your partnership with Odyssey, but in your partnership with other organizations that bring leadership tools to shift that mindset. And we also know, and we share this vision that it's not enough to just know it from the neck up. You've got to experience it. You have to feel it. You have to know that, hey, when times change and it's stressful and there's chaotic and this happened, and we thought that, if we practice behaving at a high level in that, and we have values, I know the FXI values are really important to you internally, as well as how you then model those values in the service that you do for your community. And I know you do individual service as far as volunteering and sitting on boards and stuff. Give us a sense, what are those FXI core values that you've brought to life that are under that sort of, bringing comfort to community service and to those in need? Yeah. What are those core values and how do they play out in work and in your life?
I mean, listen, our core values, it starts with the customer is number one. And we're very, very customer centric. We think about the customer all the time. And then it's all about people, right? And people make the difference and how impactful people are and what they do in the organization and our commitment to develop them. I think the other areas that really start to set us apart is this idea of being better every day. So this mindset of continuous improvement. Acting like an owner is really, really critical. And when we talk about that volatile circumstances and acting like an owner, it's about really trying to empower our leaders so that they're able to make decisions, that they understand the intent, that what we're trying to accomplish, and that every single person in the organization is empowered to go out and make decisions to better the organization, to move quicker. But the one that, obviously I'm very passionate about, and one that, you and I have been engaged in on several occasions to really bring to life, is this idea of bringing comfort to those in need. Obviously, as a comfort solutions provider, someone that makes mattresses, pillows, and toppers, 10 plus years ago, this idea when we would see a town ravaged by a hurricane or tornado and things like that, one of the things that we said was, wow, we have something that people need. They need to be able to get rest. They're being put in a shelter, things like that. So we started, shipping in mattresses and toppers and pillows and being able to do, aid like that. And we felt really good as an organization about being able to help people in a really difficult time. And then we allowed that to grow and blossom. And again, through a lot of work with you and your team, you've seen us take it into the communities. Every single plant has partner charities in their community. Oftentimes they're shelters, whether they're homeless shelters or battered women's shelters and things of that nature that we adopt. And then again, bringing comfort into those. How can we come in and help you redo the shelter? How can we make people's lives more comfortable with something that we do every day? And then it just continued to snowball and evolve. You do that one time, you're great. Now everything's all fitted out with some new mattresses and pillows. Sounds silly, but when you get reaction from people who haven't been able to sleep on a real mattress for a long time, it does have a profound impact on them. Yeah. But then we said, how do we continue that partnership? How do we stay in the communities? So now we're doing all types of service, and we've expanded it now to the point where we have a challenge with all of our workers. We give all of our plants a certain number of hours that they have paid community service. And so now we ask them to go into the community. We'll pay you for your time, but we know you have time. And so go into the community as a team and impact your community. And that has really been just an amazing journey for us over the last few years as we've started to embrace that. And the feedback that we get from our team, having the time to go into the community, provide these services, and sometimes it's giving out our products to people that don't have it, underprivileged areas, underprivileged organizations, could be food kitchens and things of that nature. But they're just providing services into their community where they're needed. And wow, when I go to the plants and talk to the people about it, it has really, really been a big culture shift for us as an organization. And the team really feels it and owns it.
Yeah, I've seen that personally. I can't remember, how many total employees do you have right now in all the plants and everybody in the sales and the technology side, the services side, distribution? Like, how many are in the FXI umbrella?
We run about 3,500 to 4,000 employees.
Amazing. There have to be a few FXI tattoos out there on some of them, because I mean, the loyalty, the culture, and you have plants in, I think they're in Mexico, they're within the US. I don't know if there are any in Canada.
None in Canada, but 20 in total.
20 plants.
Yep.
That are employing they're manufacturing folks. So, they're probably people who have, it's a huge opportunity and a lot of pride where you're located. Everybody around knows, oh, that's the FXI plant. This is what they do. And they also give back to the community. So I know that there's a huge amount of pride for people who are in the FXI family, not only in the service you provide to your customers, the quote normal customer, but the heart and soul of the community that's a customer to you.
Yeah.
As we look at legacy of an organization, legacy of the leaders, I think you've probably got quite a few more good years in you, I imagine.
I hope.
The board, right? But I know that you're doing great things and it's recognized. Yeah. And I also know that if you're the leader, you're constantly pushing for here's what's next. So what are some of the things on the horizon or big goals that you can share with us? If there's some confidential things, I understand, but what's next for FXI? Where are we going?
Yeah, we've done some really amazing things in terms of growing our product categories and the product offerings and things of that nature. I think the next big thing for FXI, we have this very, very extensive manufacturing base around the United States and into Mexico. I think there's a great opportunity to leverage that even further. So I think acquisitions, that's one thing. The last one we did was in 2019. It closed it literally closed the end of February 2020. It was a very big acquisition right in the teeth of COVID starting. So that I could talk to you for hours about just managing through that transaction and COVID. So we're definitely evaluating other opportunities. I think there's a great opportunity to take the innovation that we have and the knowledge that we have in the consumer space and do some really strategic acquisitions that can leverage off the manufacturing base that we have. And we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah. Well, I know that, obviously, hopefully someone who's considering, hey, we need some manufacturing sees this, and, you're the man, you're the top dog, and you set the tone for the culture. I know you do. You sit on the board. I know of a school in Philadelphia that services underprivileged communities and getting kids into a healthy learning environment. And I know that, we've done service projects with your leadership team to benefit them, and they beds and pillows and also I think we were in LA doing something. Was it the Ronald McDonald House Hospital?
It was. And that was an extraordinary event.
I challenged your team to hey, you got a certain number of time to here's your seed money, make it grow, give as much as you can back to the community. And within hours in comes, hundreds of flat screen TVs and refrigerators. And we were just overwhelmed with the creativity from your team when you set them loose like that.
Yes.
With the idea that if we can create these small experiences where we model the best of our growth and creativity and collaboration and those things, it's just off the charts. So it's not a surprise to me to see that since your tenure, you've doubled the results, you're doubling the team size, and you are really pushing to have the values come to life as you grow. How have you navigated personally? I know you're a family man. I know you have great family and community support, but just, a lot of CEOs, I heard a number the other day that like 80% of them, experience anxiety, depression, I don't see that in you, but what's your advice to manage that balance between the never ending tasks and having a personal life and a community that you can, love and care about at home?
So first thing, and most importantly, Lain, we just celebrated, my wife and I, our 40th year of being married.
Wow.
And
awesome.
There's no way I get anywhere in my career without an amazing wife who is incredibly supportive, and obviously the love of my life. And so that, number one, it sets it all up to be a great leader. And then from there, now you've got all the other things that you got to attack as a CEO. One is you have to constantly continue to kind of grow as an individual, right? So you're always trying to learn, right? You're always trying to get better, get smarter, understand things more. I've had an executive coach for several years, and having that sounding board and, where am I going off track? How do I get back on track? What am I doing well? How can I be better? I think that is something that you're always focused on, is how can I be the best leader possible? Because I think when I show up in the right way as the best leader, that in itself, I think, reduces the stress. When you know that you're really being effective in an environment with your team, you're motivating your team through difficult situations. When you can walk, at the end of the day, you walk out of the building and say, I know things right now are really difficult, but I think I'm having a positive impact on the team and their morale and the way they're thinking about things, and keeping them focused on the prize. And I think that's really important. For me, health is very, very high on my list. Staying in shape, right diet, those types of things. I love working out. And obviously, it won't be any surprise to you, I'm a big fanatic about sleep.
I am surprised, actually. I don't think you do sleep, do you?
Yeah. I'm actually pretty regimented.
Good.
I've got a time that I need to get to bed, but from the minute I wake up until that time, my calendar is open. I work a lot on weekends. I talk to my team all the time. I know they don't want to be bothered on weekends, but I'm working, and I make myself available to them 24 hours a day to try to just fit it all in. But I'd say learning, trying to, obviously, I think the exercise, the diet, and the sleep is critical to dealing with stress and the pressure and really showing up and being your best self.
Hey, I love that perspective. I love that you said, you're okay with being bothered on the weekend, but your people don't. There's so much I work at home and I work in my hours and I'm flex this and flex that. And at the same time, there's no sense of separation for people. Yeah. And when times are tough and people are stressed, they need that rejuvenation. I actually study a lot about recreation, and the word recreation means to recreate anew. And you have to have your recreation time. Like you said, you get up and work out. Okay, I'm physiologically, I moved my body, I'm ready to face the next challenge. Other people, they're walking their dog, they're going to yoga, or they're doing Wordle or whatever their problem solving thing, to kind of just separate them from, what can feel like Groundhog Day. You have a very consistent, sort of business model where, hey, we're in manufacturing. I might work on this line. I might run this plant. I might service the same customers. And if there's no break, then we're not recreating ourselves. And I think, everybody always wants the new product line to come out, At the same time, when's the new person come out? Am I improving? You said that earlier. I have this hunger for growth and for development, not only organizationally, but individually. And so looking at and kind of bringing it home, I've loved this conversation. Thank you so much. Personal goals, the sort of, hey, if I was writing the Harold's book of the 3 keys to success in life and work, what might those 3 things be? And maybe they'll jump right out or maybe think about it for a minute. But any big personal goals? I think you had a wedding just like me in this last year. Check the box on maybe that, but anything going on in your world that you share?
Yeah, listen, I think the business it's exciting. There's so many great people here at FXI that give me so much energy when I come to the office. And when I really think about, despite, some of the demand headwinds and things of that nature, but the way we're going at it, the energy that we go at it, I get so much energy from my family and from the great team here at FXI. My family really is my source of energy, and I try to bring that here. And so in terms of goals, I have an aspiration for where I want to leave this organization. Again, I've got a few more years to go, but I think we're not done. I think we've got some really, really exciting growth. I'd like to see us add another, $1 billion of revenue onto this business before I'm done. And I do think it's within reach. I think we've got a great team here. I think that's something I really want to attack. From a personal standpoint, listen, I've got 4 kids. I now have 1 grandchild. They keep me busy. I love, hanging out with them, interacting with them. 2 are married. We got 2 more to go. So, that'll be another exciting milestone when they finally get there. And, but I do really cherish my family time. There's no doubt about that. That is a big part of what we do. We do try to find time where we can all get away together and spend time together. It's difficult when they're older, but that's important to me.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I've been in the room with you, supporting you when a brand new hire was in the crowd, and I've seen you interact with them, and some of them are just blown away, like, this Harold, and he's a nice guy, and he's right here, and he's spending the day with us. He's not just going to introduce the speaker and leave. Like, I know that you are a great leader and mentor in your family, and in FXI, you've been a great friend to me, and just, watching you as getting the helm as the CEO I was really proud when you reached out and said, hey, I want to keep taking you for the ride. And many times you're like, I'm not having this meeting without you. And you followed through on that for, 10 plus years. And I'm really, really thankful to get to sit down and have a little bit of time with you, to try to capture, what has led to that success. And I love that you want to put another $1 billion in the balance sheet. And I know that you're asking the right questions to get to that.
I think one of the really important things that I've tried to kind of drive for is a connection with the employees, the connection with the teams. I've always been really, really inquisitive about the business, how the product works. So, even though I was a quote unquote a finance guy, I spent a lot of time in our operations on the floor, talking to people, trying to understand, how does this work? How does this process work? It made me better when I got back to the office. Then obviously I took over operations, and now as the CEO, it's something I still do. I make sure I get to all the plants at least once a year. Sometimes some of the, the different ones multiple times a year. I love spending time on the floor. I love hearing from people, what's their challenges? How can I help them? We joke around and I'll ask people, what can I do for you right now? And then I'll remind them, hey, I have a checkbook in my back pocket. What do you need? And it's funny how they struggle to ask me. Really? Right. Yeah. But I think that connection is really important. We're all part of the same team. We're all trying to get it done. And like you said, you have to make time to hear from those people, from everybody in the organization. They all have something to contribute, and making sure that you're open. I don't have an office. I have, open space. You can see me just sitting out at the high top table, just working around like everybody else. So I think that's another really important part of our culture that I try to push with our leaders, is making sure you're out there engaging. And I say it all the time. Make sure you get caught saying thank you a lot.
Yeah, nice. Good way to wrap it up. And we say here, and there's a lot of people that work from home. And if you can't, let's make a work environment that feels like home. Yeah. And I know you do your best to do that. And I appreciate your partnership. Thanks for being here with us on You Go First. We're trying to encourage people, you go first, to see a vision and then chase that with your team. And it takes courage to do that. It takes effort and energy, and I know you have it. So thank you so much, Harold, for spending some time with us. I hope the listeners found it valuable, and I hope you share this as much as you can. Thank you so much, my friend.
Lain, thanks for having me. And literally, thanks for all the years of partnering with us. You've been literally at the core of our culture. You know it. It's been a blast. You and I always joke around about it. I always get jealous for the new team members that get to experience you for the first time. You're just amazing and so foundational to what we do here in terms of building our culture. Our partnership has been amazing, and I appreciate all the time you spent with us.
Thank you, my friend. I'm humbled and thankful. All right. Have a great day, great weekend.
Thanks,
and thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you.
Yeah. Woohoo!
Thanks for listening to another episode of You Go First. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to listen to another episode, you can find us at yougofirst.live, or you can see more about our host, Lain Hensley, on his Instagram at OneDreamChaser. To learn more about his company, Odyssey Teams Inc., go to odysseyteams.com or follow all their social media channels at Odyssey Teams. Thanks again, and we hope that you will go first to share our podcast with a friend or colleague. Now, you go first.